Hello everybody and welcome to week 2 of Winners League. Today we are of course doing North America as it's probably a little bit too late for the EU matches, but my name is Stronglegs aka Roy. I'm your host of course, as well as joined today with Mike. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm ready to get into some great Counter-Strike. Happy to be back with another week of the Winners League.
Yeah, we have some great set of matches coming up right now. So the first match, if you guys missed it on the screen, of course, it goes by the order if you guys are wondering as well. I know some people were slightly confused with that, but it starts at the top and then we move down the list. So the first set of matches coming up right now is, of course, one of the best Canadian teams, Grizzlies, a French-Canadian roster backed by the Montreal Grizzlies. Actually, a really awesome org. Versus New Identity. Now, this, of course, are no strangers to us, Mike. We're pretty familiar with both of these rosters, probably more so familiar with the New Identity roster, considering, you know, they've been competing at such a high level for a while. Many of the players coming in from ex-Ghost. What are your initial thoughts of this initial matchup here?
Well, so the New Identity roster was the MASSIVEimpact roster. It's still the majority of that roster under new names. So they brought back in Connor 93, who had stepped back from the team. He's always someone who I've been pretty impressed with, both his individual level and the way he can sort of orchestrate his team. He is the caller for the roster, and that was sort of a presence they were missing in their earlier iteration. So it's nice to see him step back into the driver's seat, and they're having a lot of impact. They've got some notable young names. They've got Wrath, of course, who's one of the, I would say, purest fraggers.
Like mechanically skilled.
He's just insane.
Yeah,
He'll just hit at least one clip a game where you're like, I don't. How?
Yeah, I mean, he's that player that can turn unfavorable scenarios like in a very chaotic manner into your favor, right? Like he's that player that like he has a pistol and he's getting 2-3 kills random, and you're just like, what the heck just happened, you know? So it's always a little fun to watch Wrath, and of course Typhoon is probably the newest addition to that roster, and he's also a very mechanically skilled player. So I'm pretty excited to see this first match coming up. The second match, by the way, coming up, guys, if you're wondering, is Livid versus Polar Ace. Now, Livid, of course, is the second full Canadian roster in our league, second to Grizzlies, of course, but I would say Livid and Grizzlies are pretty close together in terms of skill. I would maybe lean a little bit more towards Livid as being the #1 Canadian roster, but they're up against Polar Ace. But I think we're ready to start the match, so let's go straight into the server.
Let's do it. That'll be an exciting roster to watch as well. Polar Ace, of course, under a new org. We'll see how they do. But straight into the server we go. We've got old legends. We've got Roka, Seb, and Connor. Then we got the young guns, Typhoon and Wrath on one side. On the other side, Kohler, Aaron, Joels, Tensky, and King Bernard. What a name that. It's going to be a quick move in towards construction. They're taking a lot of ground, and there's heavy presence here, including a flank in towards the connector that'll be able to pop out pretty quickly if this hit does come through towards B. But perhaps feeling the pressure a little bit, the Grizzlies, they're already backing off. They're thinking about the rotate. The timing is perfect, though, for Connor. That peek out of connector in conjunction with the construction push works out beautifully to catch one player off guard. And despite the fact that they haven't found the brunt of the assault, they have a ton of information, and now they can start to rotate players back to defend A.
Yeah, pretty scary water push, though, coming out from New Identity. I like that a lot, actually. But here it is. Grizzlies now pretty much left with no chance but to push onto the A side. And they have been spotted by Connor. 4 men coming in, and Connor's already been ghosted. He'll have to reposition. And here we go. The hit's coming in.
And on they move. Going to delete the first player, but Connor immediately puts up the wall, and he is rocking heads. He'll eventually be found out, as will Seb, who drops and may afford them a bomb plant. But Aaron's now all alone. He's got 44 seconds, though, so he can switch course. He can change it up, Roy, and he's going to do exactly that and head on over towards B. I don't think anyone's hot enough on his heels. He can actually deny this.
Yeah, no,
so
definitely
Aaron,
not.
He's making a great situation out of what was not really much afforded to him.
Yeah, the only thing I'm concerned about is the fact that he has no armor, and he's not quite sure if there are 2 players in this direction, so he's kind of unsure whether the second player is there. But there it is, the push is coming out from New Identity. Good spacing, and the duels come out, and there it is, Typhoon closing it out in the first round for New Identity. That was... I like that water push.
I like that water push a lot. I like to see that from New Identity because this is a team, especially with Typhoon and Wrath, when they're your younger fraggers, where sometimes they have so much faith in their own aim that they'll take a fight that while they have the advantage in, maybe they give away a little bit of that advantage, right? There, they reset. They say, all right, we know he slipped down the dumpster. He's going to get this plan on B. That's fine. Let's just win the round. Let's reset. Let's figure it out, guys. We'll move as one unit. We'll get the easy peasy round.
Yeah, and not to mention, I mean, they took their time and picked up the kit. That's a massive little piece of the puzzle there. But here we go, New Identity now with weapons, M4s, double SMGs, and Grizzlies. Of course, the French Canadian Deagle can never be discounted. It's going to be Connor taking an early little duel, some damage dealt, no fatalities just yet, but it seems like Grizzlies really want to hunt this down. But Hunter might be a little bit aware of this. He's taking cover behind the tree.
Sketch report as well, popping out from the bathrooms. Unfortunately, that just serves to draw their aggro one way and then the other, and they're ripping heads. The Grizzlies, they've come to maul right now, and they're having a lot of impact early on. 2 rifles picked up. Now they can just steamroll towards the site. The only issue is they don't have armor, so these SMGs are going to feast. There's the backstab from Seb. He's going to be advancing quickly on their position, and now they're caught between a rock and a hard place, and there is no escape. So despite a great start, they get shut down as they move into the mid-round.
And the French-Canadian Deagle, you can never discount that. Collard coming in hot. 2 kills right off the bat. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit surprised they didn't, take their time, considering they picked up weapons. They could have just used those rifles to their advantage, but they upped the ante a little bit and kind of got caught off by the utility in the flank. But here we go, new identity up 2-0, and Grizzlies are now on a bye. Pretty healthy bye, considering they got the bomb in the first round. So it's going to be AKs plus the full utility and new identity. I like the adjustment right here. Put Typhoon in connector with that SMG and test it.
That's a great position to play with the SMG, right? You get that swing, you get that timing, you can really wreak havoc. Typhoon, of course, practitioner of the anime profile pick ways. He's really dedicated to that, I would say. Do you subscribe to the belief that an anime profile pick gives you just better aim in Counter-Strike?
Yeah, that or cute animal pictures, either or, both give power.
I don't remember who it is, but there's somebody who has the disturbed cat video from Twitter. It's just the cat's back.
Who's about to be disturbed is Joel's in here in connector with Typhoon. Actually, he just snuck by, but Typhoon, wait. The timing of that was absolutely disgusting, and Joel turns around and finds both frags. Now Wrath, he has to pick up the pieces, but he's kind of having a hard time opening the door, and he gets sidelined by Kohler, who also doubles down on Seb. This leaves Roka all by himself. That went from 100 to 0 real quick.
That sometimes this is a cruel mistress, and that was just a situation where the timing was terrible for new identity, but perfect for the Grizzlies. And now they've identified the last player. Roka, though, turning in a nice little 2K. He's not going to be able to stand up to the third. He'll get dropped. But that was just it. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. Someone was putting a clip into their gun as the player swung out through a smoke. Typhoon completely missed the player slipping around
it's unfortunate.
the corner and just missed the gap. Just a lot of little pieces that added up to a lost round for new identity. But that's a great start back in for Grizzlies. Now they've got the bye. They're comfortable. They're healthy. They're up against Broken.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a bit of a piece right here, right? This is a kind of a pie they can eat early on. As long as they can secure this round, the economy for new identity will be absolutely demolished moving forward. But there are some weapons available for new identity, including that M4 in the hands of Wrath. That's a player, of course, we talk a lot about, and he's kind of the player that you definitely want that M4 in the hands of. Pretty consistent person to have a solo hero rifle.
The question is, do they give him the opportunity to pop off? Because yeah, if they come for like a monster push somewhere late in the round and Wrath sticks around, ooh, he could really do him dirty.
Definitely.
Question is, afford him that opportunity. Kohler's the only one who's close by, and Wrath's just gonna go looking for it. There's the kill. That's the efficiency that we see and expect out of him. Very well done. The problem is that was their big gun in the roster. While they've gotten another one up in the form of the AK, if Grizzlies hit fast now, they'll be able to react. Problem for the Grizzlies is the bomb is dropped, so it is by nature going to be a much slower play.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this position from Typhoon. Oh, he gets punished. Tensky has him on the swing.
Now Connor's isolated all by himself inside of the bathrooms. He's through his smoke, so they know that he's here, but this is an awkward duel. Connor's out in the open. He has no cover, and I'm surprised they're just taking so long eventually for Seb to come in on the flank. Pick up a kill toward the connector bathroom area, and Wrath, he's repositioned, and he's found Aaron. Down to a 3 versus 2, and it seems like Grizzlies they're actually losing control of this round. The bomb is down. They need to recover it with only 20 seconds left, Mike.
20 seconds is really the killer. They just don't have the time to maneuver. They're just going to have to blunt force it. That's one player who finds it, and King Bernard just has to go straight for the plant. He somehow found another kill, but he's only got 10 seconds. If Wrath just plays this smart, he'll be able to deny it. He has to force the issue, has enough space behind Optimus. Bomb will, in fact, go down, so it's left to a 1v1. Wrath opened up the round. He needs to shut it as well. It's going to be the swing from King Bernard in a second. He just needs to catch that quick headshot, and this could all be recovered. But Wrath will not be denied. He is hungry for those frags, and he is going to find them. An AK is just a nice little cherry on top, and a third round claim for new identity.
Yeah, I mean, we called that from the beginning, right? Wrath is such a consistent person to have that hero rifle. I mean, finding that kill, getting Seb not only a weapon, but denying all information and control for Grizzlies towards that B site, towards that monster area. So that was really well done. Then he doubles down and clutches a 1v1. Massive round from him. And that, again, that was the kind of the early pie that the French Canadians really needed. That's an unfortunate loss for them. Luckily, they still have some money, especially with that bomb plant going down, but it's definitely a lot worse for wear than they were in the round before.
I like the AUG out. That's always nice to see early. Maybe not an AWP. Maybe that's a little bit delayed, but hey, the AUG's still here, and the AUG is definitely to be feared. And I think that the upgraded weaponry is going to give them a little bit more ability to swing this fifth player and Roka around between the sites. Look at this aggression. There's a player all the way out, pushing in past the fountain. There's players in playground. He didn't realize this could be bad, but Connor93 is going to at least find one. And information on the second before he goes down. Typhoon, losing his teammate, is not cowed in the slightest. He's still just pushing. They are holding W, and it's working out here, Roy.
Hey, sometimes aggression is the best key, right? I mean, the most successful teams have been the most aggressive teams on the CT side, but Kohler finding a trade. That's map control information denied, as well as the equalizer. Now it seems like the Frenchies are making their way back to towards that monster. And this is a good decision. There's nobody there.
This is a weird rotation, right? I think it's almost that the hyper aggression from New Identity, they didn't quite realize the fact that they were so far forward, there was no commitment from the Grizzlies. So, as you said, they're going to find a completely open site. Wraths is the closest player, and Wrath's going to have to rotate all the way back into heaven to do any damage here. They've already transitioned the bomb by the pillar. They should be able to get a free bomb plant, but never mind. Wrath swings and immediately takes the head off of Kohler, and the second as well. This is back-to-back impact plays from Wrath, and round after round. Now he's just going to hop straight out water with the confidence of a player who knows exactly where he needs to be looking, and that sets up Seb for the backstab and the round claimed. That was looking dangerous for a little bit just off the back of positioning, but Wrath takes it in hand and just asserts himself on the server.
I mean, that's kind of like the ultimate trump card, right? Is if somebody's hitting shots and getting headshots. Like, I mean, you can run the most elaborate strategies, make the best decisions ever, but if you run into a guy who's kind of feeling it and he's kind of feeling the aim, you're gonna have to shut him down. And there it is. Wrath is running kind of rain free at the moment. Grizzlies pushing into the smoke. I see up close and personal, only able to find one kill. Not bad. I like that. But Connor's up next. He's connected with the AK-47, and he goes one and done as well. And once again, trade for trade. This is getting very costly here for New Identity.
This is very odd that they're doing this. They're putting themselves in these kind of one-and-done positions on eco rounds. There's just no need to do it. Now Wrath, the big gun, goes down. It's just Tensky, who will get cleaned up by Roka, but still losing 4 players in this kind of a round, it's just unnecessary. And they're taking very aggressive angles, trying to force the issue, trying to force the kill. It's a little odd. My follow-up question is, why do you ever have Wrath as one of your players with SMGs in hand? Just why? I mean, give the man a rifle. Let the man just rip heads. There he's playing with an ump and connector. I mean, I know it's probably largely a positioning game. Maybe they were expecting no armor, expecting a feast for him on the eco frag, but still. That's going to be a player dropped, and a second and a third, as immediately the A-site defense just gets wiped off the board. New Identity, they've got no answer here, and it's a great opener for Grizzlies as all the pins fall at once. That's like hitting the jackpot on the slot machine.
Definitely. They just have to convert these rounds, right? Like, they've had no problems getting that lead and getting that advantage so far. Now, Connor's up close and personal, and he could easily double down right here. There's the first one. Goes, waits out. There's a second drop. Kohler eventually finds the trade, but that's 2 players lost for the life of 1, making this very much possible for Roka in a 1 versus 2, of course, still favoring the Grizzlies side. Now, Roka kind of has to play the guessing game, right? He has no idea where they're going off this.
You feeling the headshotting and such? Little vintage Roka action coming out.
And
he's been shaking off the rust.
Definitely, yeah. You can never discount this Roka. And there it is. The Molotovs are going to give away their position. Here we go. Roka, 1 versus 2.
As they're coming around the corner, there's the first isolated. That's the bomb as well. So now they're forced into an encounter. Aaron has to face, and Roka just has the timing. There's the 1-2 punch. They feed into him 1 by 1, and you can't do that against a legend like Roka. The man was the meme machine on Reddit for a long time, and maybe he's coming to retake his throne, bro.
You know,
timeout.
I think this is a very important timeout, honestly. I was just thinking they should take a timeout as well. They're having no problems finding advantages, right? Grizzlies have had no problems finding early frags, no problems finding map control, trading out, you know, getting all the important early mid-game kills. It's really just the third phase of the round, you know, the late game that they're kind of struggling with right now. They can't convert these rounds. They had 30 seconds left on the clock. There was no need to throw utility. Roka had no idea where they were going. They should have just took their time, cleared out angles 1 by 1, probably push into CT spawn, clear out bang, clear out jump spot, play it for the safe side of the site. Like, why play the guessing game yourself when you're in the 2v1 and you're on offense, right? You should leave it up to the defense to figure out what you're doing, not kind of give it to him free.
It's almost like they're bringing... It's the different places that these two rosters thrive, right? Grizzlies are in the stage of their career where, yes, they've started to figure out how to play as a unit, how to bring that team play through, how to really lean on that and provide structure. But New Identity, they're almost beyond that point where, yes, they can play with within the set, they can play with the structure, but then once it breaks down, they thrive in that chaos, right? There's a couple players on here who just, that's where they live, that's where they love to be. And so like Oroka has so much experience that he just has the perfect timing to take that fight and couple that with his natural skill, and it just works out. And Grizzlies not really finding an answer for that raw skill and individual playability. Once again, you see the opening pick go their way, though this time it's traded out very quickly, and the New Identity side's going to fall back. They actually came out on top in that damage battle. A lot of position, and now they're very passive back to the sites.
Wow, Wrath almost took off Kohler's head, but he just barely missed it. But yeah, I mean, we're kind of beating this nail quite a bit, but Grizzlies are doing a great job finding early picks. They just need to convert. Now, it seems like they're resorting back to kind of a mid-round execute, possible site take coming out here. It is going to be a 4 versus 2 on the B site. I mean, the advantage is there, but are they going to expect Seb to be in this very awkward angle with the AUG? It's such a strong angle, and there it is, Seb finding one kill. Take a second duel, doubles down, Wrath closing out, Water, that's Kohler down. It's all down to King Bernard.
That was just the crab walk murder from Seb. He starts with the first and then just slowly crouch walks along Monster, clearing every possible angle and knocks them down one by one by one. I mean, that's the beauty of the AUG, right? That is the true raw power of the AUG. It's just the ability to laser in on a certain angle, a certain choke point, and make it yours. Absolutely claim your territory, sign a lease, and move in.
No, yeah, no doubt. See, the thing about the AUG is it's kind of like a mini op in some ways, right? It strives in those long-range engagements with that little mini scope. But Wrath about to open the door, and he's going to find that Joel's completely unsuspecting. There is one more player right here. Nice shot by Aaron. That's a free weapon in the equalizer.
This is again where you see the little cracks on the eco rounds. Like, yes, he gets the initial kill. There's no reason to push in afterwards. There's so many blind angles to check in that connector spot that you've got to clear. There's just no sense giving them a rifle. But he tries to make the hero plays, tries to go for the kill, and it comes back to bite him a little bit. Now Connor, his position's been found out. Typhoon, again, kind of a one-and-done spot. If they just send one exploring out towards him, he's going to get the kill, no problem. But if they try and overwhelm with numbers, this is an awkward spot to play. Fortunately for him, it's only one player, so he'll drop him, and Seb's now secured the connector flank, and is just going to hold this position like a turret. They've got Tensky pushed in, and Tensky pushed out of the round. 8-1. New Identity, they're able to rely on that individual skill, even when maybe they make a little bit of a misplay, like Wrath did pushing in towards connector.
Right.
They can just lean back and just win it on raw talent.
Again, it's that raw confidence, right, from New Identity. They have a good, I really like the dynamic on New Identity, except the one thing that's kind of a question mark in my mind right now is, like, who's main opping for this squad? Do they even have a main opper for this squad, right? These are all riflers. I don't recall any of these players being oppers.
Nobody's picked it up this round, which you're right, considering their money is very odd. I'm trying to think who I've seen pick it up. Maybe Seb.
Like for me, there are differences, right? Like there are oppers and there are people who can op, right? Like I'm sure they have capable oppers, no doubt. But do they have an opper? Here we go. Trades once again towards the B side. Now there's only 2 players standing here. Wrath down to 8 HP. And Roka, he's sitting pretty comfortable towards that pit area. Still, Grizzlies finding that early frag. Now they have to convert and make a decision into the mid round right here. Let's see what it'll be. There's still some utility. And now Typhoon is using that map control towards the A site to find himself a free kill and connector. Now it's a man advantage for Identity.
That was a big swing. That means they're pretty much committed to this. Otherwise, they're going to have to go for a very long rotation and make time an enemy as well. So they are going to go for this monster push. They're going to slide right out since connector is completely denied to them off limits. Wrath, fortunately, is low, but they're going to walk right past barrels without checking it, and that distance long enough for the kills to come in. Now it's all Tensky. The trades are good for New Identity, and once again, Roka will shut it down on site. He's having himself a nice little game. You know, he's not the flashiest player on the server. I'd give that to Wrath still, but he's doing quite well.
Yeah, and he's only died 3 times going on to the 11th round, so that's disgusting. He's looking like a decapitator right now, just executing them one by one. He didn't even take a bullet back, I don't think. That's crazy. Grizzlies once again. I mean, the scoreline is almost. I feel like it's almost misleading in some ways. But here we go. Aggression coming out early. Typhoon up close and personal once again. We've seen this before. Now Wrath is. Wait, has he been spotted? I hear gunshots going off, but I'm not sure if they saw him cross or not.
Typhoon's gonna have the backstab. This is gonna be brutal. Aaron has no idea he's here. There's the lineup as well. He gets both. That's the bomb. That's the round just about over. Kohler, Jols, and Tensky have so much work to do to bring this back. And Typhoon is so hungry. He's just going to be chasing through his own team. Molly. Rats has the lineup. It's going to be traded effectively, but Kohler and Tensky, they have actually brought this back a little bit. Typhoon's still on right here. And there it gets shut. And this is, again, a situation of they were dominant in the beginning of the round. Then they get a little too excited and start trying to push for kills. Lose a few players, then tighten up a little bit and kill them. They're clearly just in it where they're just feeling their aim, they're feeling everything, and they're super confident about going for it. And there you go, there's your op. Connor 93 picking it up.
according to their manager, Connor's actually the main opper for the squad. Sirocco is secondary. It's interesting to see Connor exchanging damage with King Bernard early on, and this is an eco, so I might just go ahead and toss it as soon as it's actually down. Typhoon just mowing them down on top of that dunk grenade on Bernard. It's a 3K for him already. He's going to go for more, looking for those easy stats. But it'll be Connor closing it off. Typhoon with a nice little 4K though. But I think I've figured out why Grizzlies are having a hard time securing this game.
Okay, what's the secret here?
I tend to realize with French Canadian teams specifically, because they rely so much on a specific structure, right? They're not really used to this kind of like raw aggression and mid round aggression. So when you're playing into their structure and you're playing into their timing and into like what they're kind of how they expect a round to unfold. That's a sentence stopper.
Sacrifice your teammate to the op gods. Wow. That shot goes through his teammate's chest and straight into his opponent. So was it worth it? What did you have to give up to get that kill, King Bernard? Everything.
Law of equivalent exchange. The animes are shaking. But 4 versus 4, minute 20 already. And once again, we see that structure now slowly settling in. Seb going for the rug. Barely has an ankle, but he's going to get spotted out by Kohler and sprayed through the smoke. That's a man advantage now. Again, still a minute and 10 seconds left. They need to convert safely.
Oh, the timing is brutal. Wrath is so ready for it. He's going to find 2. I almost expected him to take the 3rd with that USP. Minute still available, so they're not committed, and they do have bomb control at the least. That's been an issue for them in the mid rounds. But Typhoon is just going to be waiting here at the top of connector, so as soon as that rotate maybe comes through, he's just ready to feast. I mean, this is a great spot, all things considered, based on where the T's are playing from. And as it ticks down to 40 seconds, they're going to have to go one way or another. It's going to be a pick your poison, Roka or Typhoon. Who do you really want to try and double up and put down?
Yeah, that's a really hard decision, but it's going to be Roka in the barrels. This is a great position here for Roka. Easily can multi-frag from the... There it is. It's the first one decapitated.
And the second. Easy. Knock him up, set him up, knock him down. That felt like it was finally going to be a round that Grizzlies could take. But once again, in the mid round, they kind of lose track. They don't realize where these players can be pushed up to. They start losing exchanges coming out of connector from the player who's just crouched in the corner. And all of a sudden, the round is no longer in hand.
Yeah, this is the Connor IGL style, I swear. Every single team that he's led or been on has just been very hyper-aggressive. It throws you off psychologically as well, right? Aggression once again coming out early on. Connor not liking the way it feels. He's going to back down to a separate position just a little bit further back from behind the Molotov. He sprays, but unable to find a single kill. Not Typhoon.
And that's
Wrath
together. Really insane to me. That he gets pushed off of the initial aggression. Most players would just run through that smoke and bail back towards bathrooms. And he's like, no, I'm going to hop a party and try this again. That's so impressive. It doesn't work out, but I like the idea because they're not expecting it. They just managed to get the reaction. Now they're barreling down bathrooms. It's going to be Wrath who takes one, but he's traded out, and this is a wrecking ball on towards site. Now the question is, can they convert it in the late round? It's going to be Roka, who they're not expecting the position. They don't clear it. He finds 2, make it 3, and once again the round turned on its head. It's King Bernard, who's just got a scout who's all the way back towards Fountain. Has so much ground to clear. He's at least got 50 seconds to work with, but he has no idea where this flank could be coming from. There is none, but he doesn't know that. So he's just going to have to straight take the fight and popping off block shots. They now know where he's coming from, and they are ready and waiting for him.
I really do love I absolutely love the kind of the bait setups that, you know, New Identity's running. They're like non-traditional bait setups, right? Usually bait setups, you have a guy just hiding, waiting to peek off contact, but no, they're like sending in like 2-3 players like way deeper on A towards Fountain, towards Playground, fighting early, and if they die, there's still that contingency plan hiding in the corner. That's Roka, the ultimate trap card, you know, just waiting, and it seems to be catching Grizzlies perfectly. The ultimate bait is just working every single time.
It really is. It just feels like every time they take a site, they're looking the wrong direction. Connor is going to do the classic push that we've come to know them through for this map at the very least. Just around, straight around Playground. I don't know why they're not hard clearing it at this point. It's happened so many rounds. King Bernard, at least it kind of expects it and swings on it, but he's losing teammates elsewhere on the map, and now the raw aggression is going to work out again. Joel's responds, but still insta-trade. Now you've got a limping King Bernard and Aaron for the win. And that's all you've got to work with. So they're going to group up. They're going to go for another one of these mid-round pushes. Just haven't had a lot of success with them, Roy.
Well, now they're walking into Seb behind a smoke, so they must have an idea he's around here somewhere, but they're not going to be looking at the right direction once again. And it's going to be Seb from the side, taking down King Bernard. Aaron, last player alive here, not the best of weapons for this kind of scenario.
And the flank is here. Typhoon's gonna get him. If Seb doesn't, won't matter. Roka from on high, never mind. The third option claims the kill. It is 14-1. And that really did just feel like a situation where nothing quite went right for the Grizzlies. There were a few rounds where it felt like they could close it out, where they had an advantage, where they were looking solid in the mid-round, but just on those actual hits into sight, they're never looking the right direction. They're never prepared for the weird angles that New Identity have wedged themselves into, and then New Identity could just press that raw aim to overwhelm them.
Right, yeah, 100% agreed with that. Yeah, aggression is kind of like it's a really tricky, very tricky thing. If you don't control it early into a half, it just kind of spirals out of control and it throws off everything that you've worked on in structure. But it's going to be a push into the B site. New Identity looking to get this game over with. Kohler will be finding the first frag. Roka nice straight, and Roko doubles down. And man, this man is hot right now. I have to say, like, everything New Identity is doing is working. The aggression, the aim, the structure, the spacing. Look at that. Like, you can't fight one of them without being shot by another. It's great. This is great fundamentals at play here.
It really is. It's going to take a heroic individual play from Grizzlies to really be able to answer it back, and they just don't have it. They just don't have it in the bag of tricks right now. So they're getting overwhelmed. Now 15-1. It was already a hopeless situation, but now the light has completely gone out from Grizzlies' life. They are just going to be forcing it, throwing everything they've got, and maybe this is finally the round where they get loose enough to be able to counter it. But they've invested everything. They've got a little bit of utility, some flashes, some smokes. They're breaking out the decoys to try and make it work, a single SMG, and it's pistols to try and win the day. At least the gamble's coming in, and that's the right read as they're rolling right out the monster smoke and straight into the deagle. Kohler hits the first from the barrels. There's more players out, but his teammates are dropping. Kohler's still here to threaten, but it's going to be left to 2 players with about 40 HP between them to try and do any sort of damage and bring through this round. They're still finding kills, but there's just too many bodies on the T side, and they cannot get it done. Seb with the 2K to close out the map in a dominant performance from New Identity.
You know, I have to admit, though, this didn't feel like a 16-1. Like,
it really didn't.
I feel like there's so many rounds I was like, dude, Grizzlies doing awesome. They got this. And they walk into a site, 3K by Roka. Walk into site, 3K by Typhoon. It's like, man, like, at what point are you going to find these trades, or at least, like, be ready to combat, right? Like, you're going into part of the map you don't own, right? As long as you don't own water or you don't own connector, if you're walking into these parts of the map, you can't just assume it's free just because you just killed somebody there, right? You kind of have to be vigilant. You kind of have to be sort of aware. And it's like these like small little nuances, these small little mistakes that kind of made this game a 16-1 versus what could have been like a 16-10, a 16-12. I mean, even the first half could have been like a 10-5, 9-6 easily.
The advantage there, though, I would hope, is that if you're Grizzlies, right, like there were obviously very crucial swing points in the round where it went against them. Where like exactly what you said, it's like this looks like it's going to be their round. They're doing great, and then just destroyed by one spot. Hitting my mic there. Sorry if that came through, folks. Destroyed from one spot, just annihilated. So going back to watch the demo, I think there will be a lot there for them to review and sort of use as teaching tape. And like you said, this felt close. This felt like they were just on the cusp of being able to really make this competitive.
Right.
And they just a little bit more experience and they'll get there.
Yeah, I really do feel like Grizzlies will have a better showing. I think it's kind of like a psychological hang up, right? Like if you're a team in kind of a lower division playing against people who have, you know, within the last year, they've had 3 players in pro, right? Seb, Connor, Roka, all have been in pro league in the last year. 2 are on Ghost, and Roka was on Dignitas at one point. So, I mean, it's a bit of a psychological hang-up. You're playing against names who have been around the scene for such a long time. It kind of like gets into under your skin, gets into your mind a little bit, kind of throws you off a little, right? So, I mean, I really do feel like we will have better showing from Grizzlies. And again, at the end of the day, Winners League is a development league, right? We're taking teams from like different calibers. We're taking pro teams, MDL teams, advanced teams. We're kind of just throwing them into a big pot. And it's like, hey, learn, adapt, survive. That's it, right? Nothing else. It doesn't matter who you are as long as you're hitting shots and you're playing to your game. But great job by, man, let's talk a little bit about new identity like that. Yeah, I feel like I had to like stop to breathe after every round. I was like, whoa, like there's so much going on.
It was, I think the most exciting thing for me was the fact that Roka looked like what we hope Roka is, you know? Because I expected out of certain players, but Roka came back after a lot of time off from competitive CS, and it was kind of like, I don't really know what he's going to be when he came back.
Right.
There was definitely a time when he was first competing where there was rust, and he was obviously knocking that off. And in this one, he was just in the server dominating in the way that we expect from Roka. So that's great to see. That raw aggression definitely was a little bit more amplified in this game because they knew they could get away with it. Like they're not going to be quite that aggressive against a more competitive roster, but it's definitely their play style. It's, as you said, that Connor 93 classic ideal style. Push out, trade, get aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it wasn't even just chaotic aggression from New Identity, right? Like, it was pretty coordinated throughout the most part. Like, even on different parts of the map, it was still coordinated. Like, they would contact A and Typhoon as soon as he hears those gunshots popping off. He's like, dude, I probably have a 1v1. Peeks out, perfect timing, guy not looking at him, boom, from the side, right? It's like, it's pretty well coordinated, even though it might look kind of chaotic from an outside perspective. So, I mean,
yeah, when you break it down, there's definitely tendencies and trends where you can see exactly the idea of what they're trying to do with that aggression. It's so hard to predict from the other side of the roster. It's almost like guerrilla warfare. You just don't know what they're going to do next.
Definitely, yeah, it's definitely psychological. But that does conclude the first match for us, guys. We do have 2 more matches coming up. Again, next is going to be Livid, another great French-Canadian team. These probably ranked number 1 in Canada as a full Canadian roster, if I'm not mistaken. Can't think of a better full Canadian roster than Livid. They have Huynh, who was, previously on an MDL roster. They have several good players. Even GMD was on the Livid roster, but he's now on Space Station. So they're going up against Polar Ace, another MDL roster themselves. I think this next matchup is going to be pretty insane. I'm pretty excited to see that. That is, of course, the final feature roster with AGM now. So I think the second match is going to be amazing. And then to close off the night for us, it is going to be Hysteria versus Lazarus. I think this is their debut. I think this is the first match under the new banner. So it's going to be pretty awesome.
They're boot camping in LA too. So they're all together. They are all ready. And I am expecting them to unleash havoc on the server.
For sure. But yeah, guys, we'll be right back. And the action will continue probably in about 20 minutes or so, since this match finished a little bit sooner than we expected. But we will bring you the action as soon as we're ready, guys. Stay tuned, hang around, grab some drinks, grab some snacks, and we'll be right back.